You know that person who, the moment things get overwhelming, just vanishes? Not physically maybe, but they stop texting back as fast, they cancel the plans they actually wanted to keep, they go quiet in the group chat. They sit in the same room as people they love and feel completely unreachable, like there's a pane of glass between them and everything else. And they put it there, and they can't quite explain why. That person is you. And you've probably spent a lot of time wondering what that says about you. And no, you're not cold, you're not flaky, you're not someone who doesn't care about the people in your life. What you are is someone whose nervous system learned a very specific survival strategy, and it learned it so well that it still runs automatically even when the danger is long gone. That's not a character flaw, that's an adaptation that outlived its context. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why you do this and why it actually makes a very specific kind of sense. There's a term in psychology called the freeze response. Most people know fight or flight, the two survival modes your brain defaults to under threat. But there's a third one that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and it's called the freeze or fawn withdrawal response. When the nervous system determines that fighting back isn't safe and running isn't possible, it does something quieter. It shuts down, it goes inward, it disconnects. Not because you gave up, but because, at some level, invisibility felt like the safest option. Researchers at the University of Amsterdam studying trauma-adaptive behaviors found that individuals who experienced environments of emotional unpredictability in childhood were significantly more likely to develop withdrawal as a primary stress response in adulthood. The brain learned, when things get big, get small. When the noise gets loud, go silent. There's also a concept called interoceptive overload, which is just a clinical way of saying your body takes in too much at once. People who disappear under stress often have a nervous system that is exquisitely sensitive. They feel more, they process more. And when the volume of incoming sensation crosses a certain threshold, the system doesn't crash loudly. It crashes quietly. It retreats. Because retreat for you was never laziness. It was regulation. Number one, you don't disappear because you don't care. You disappear because you care too much, and the weight of that caring becomes unbearable under pressure. The observable behavior is this: the more something matters to you, the more likely you are to go silent when it's threatened. Other people get louder when they're scared of losing something. You get quieter. Because somewhere deep in your wiring, making yourself smaller felt like it reduced the risk. The psychological mechanism here is called hypervigilant withdrawal. When the emotional stakes feel too high, the self preemptively exits before it can be asked to perform, to explain, to manage. The real-world version of this is the person who stops reaching out to their closest friends right when they need those friends the most. Not because they don't want connection, because wanting it that badly, under that much pressure, feels terrifying. But here's where it gets interesting. Number two, when you disappear, you're not doing nothing. You're actually doing everything, internally. People who withdraw under stress are often running a full internal crisis on mute. They're replaying conversations, catastrophizing outcomes, processing emotion at a depth most people never reach. The world sees silence. What's actually happening is a storm in a soundproof room. The psychological term is rumination, but not the passive kind. It's active, intense, often exhausting inner processing that you're doing instead of externalizing. And the cruel irony is that the people around you assume you're fine, or that you don't care, exactly when you are least fine and caring the most. And here's the part nobody talks about. Number three, the disappearing is also a test. Not a conscious one, not a manipulative one, but somewhere underneath the withdrawal is a quiet, desperate question. Will you still be here when I come back? Will you look for me? Because for a lot of people who learn to vanish, the original wound wasn't about stress. It was about what happened when they showed up fully and it wasn't safe. So now, going quiet is a way of finding out if the relationship can hold their absence, if someone comes looking, if someone stays. It's not a game. It's the oldest kind of heartbreak looking for a new answer. But wait, it gets weirder. Number four, the more you disappear, the harder it becomes to come back. Because absence creates a secondary anxiety, now you're not just stressed about the original thing, you're stressed about the gap you've created. You've been quiet for 3 days, and now you don't know how to explain the 3 days, so you stay quiet for 5. The re-entry cost gets higher the longer you're gone. What started as a stress response becomes its own trap. Psychologists call this avoidance compounding, where the behavior meant to reduce discomfort ends up generating a new layer of it. And you know this feeling intimately. You've probably watched yourself do it in slow motion, fully aware, unable to stop it, because the alternative, explaining, showing up, being seen in the middle of your mess, felt like more than you could do. But there's a distinction worth making here. There's a difference between withdrawing to genuinely recharge and process, and withdrawing because connection feels too dangerous to risk right now. One is self-awareness, the other is armor. Ask yourself honestly, are you going quiet because you need space to come back clearer, or because part of you is waiting to see if anyone will notice you're gone? One is peace, the other is hiding. Neither makes you a bad person, but only one of them is actually giving you what you need. This didn't start with stress at work or a hard relationship. This started when you were the kid who learned that the room changed temperature without warning, that emotions around you were unpredictable or too big or required you to manage them, and that the safest thing you could do was become very, very still. Stillness was control. Invisibility was survival. You didn't disappear because you were weak. You disappeared because it worked. At 15, that looked like locking your bedroom door and putting headphones on when the house got loud. At 25, it looks like leaving a conversation on red for 4 days when you're overwhelmed. Same route, different room. Same nervous system, running the same old code in a world that's actually different now. And here's what's true. You are already not the same person who first learned that trick. The fact that you're watching this, the fact that you can name what you do, means the pattern is already loosening. Not broken, not gone, but seen. And a pattern that's been seen can never quite hold the same power it held in the dark. Here's what I want you to hear. You have spent years apologizing for going quiet, apologizing for needing more time than other people, apologizing for not knowing how to stay present when everything inside you is on fire. And nobody ever told you that the silence wasn't failure, that it was you, trying in the only way you knew how to protect what you loved from the version of you that hadn't yet learned how to carry it all without breaking. You weren't disappearing, you were surviving. And survival for a long time looks like making yourself small enough that nothing could reach you. But here's the thing about people who learn to disappear. They also learn to come back, every single time. Quieter maybe, slower, but back. You are not someone who abandons. You are someone who retreats to the only place that ever felt safe, yourself, and then, eventually, finds the door again. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to understand. Because the moment you understand it, the room gets a little bigger, and the door gets a little easier to open. There's a kind of strength that doesn't make noise, and you've been carrying it your whole life without anyone giving it a name. In the next video, I'm going to talk about something that connects directly to this. Why people who withdraw under stress also tend to feel the most deeply in moments of calm, and what that says about the kind of relationships they actually need. You won't want to miss that one. If this video felt like it was written for you, subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel is built for. I'll see you in the next one.